Hey guys, 1 minute with Eric. So everyone always asks me, do I really need a lawyer? And you know what the answer is? No, you don't. You can represent yourself in court. It's called being pro se. You can write your own contracts. You can go on the internet and see if you can find something that applies to your situation. So the question is, why do you need a lawyer? Well, you need a lawyer because we're professionals. We're good at this. We do this for a living. We are going to take a lot less time. Now, if you have all the time in the world, then what the heck? You might as well teach yourself how to be a lawyer. You can go to the law library and read the books. And so when somebody says, well, do I need a lawyer to set up an LLC? I tell them, no, I'll point you to the state website, get your credit card out, but be wary. You might do it wrong. There's a lot of ways you can make mistakes. Well, can you tell me how to do it? I'm like, well, no, I charge for that. So one of the big things that comes up is LLC taxation, which is usually step 2 or 3 when we're creating a company. If you just create it and you do nothing, it's default. But there's a couple other options. So the 3 options are, we can do default LLC taxation, which means if you're a single member, it's sole proprietor taxation under the LLC, under the Internal Revenue Code. If it's multi-member, you're going to be a partnership under the Internal Revenue Code. And what that really means is it's just going to go directly on your personal tax return. So if, for example, my partner and I, if this business was being taxed as a partnership, then at the end of the year, it would generate a tax return, which is called a Form 1065, and it would show our respective percentages, it would show how much profit or loss the business had, and then it would basically tell the IRS, hey, you can expect to see this percentage on Eric's tax return and this percentage on Oscar's tax return. That's what it would say. So that's partnership. Second option, if you're eligible, now not all companies are eligible, but an LLC can choose to be taxed as an S-Corp. One of my most frustrating things is I ask someone what kind of company they have and they said, oh, well, I have an S-Corp. They're not answering my question. The correct answer is I have a Florida corporation or I have a Delaware LLC. That's the correct answer. Now, if you want to elaborate, you could say I have a Florida LLC that's taxed as an S-Corp. Now, not all companies qualify. Typically, you need to have only 1 class of shares. You can only have up to 100 shareholders, and they must be natural-born U.S. people. There's a few exceptions to that, but generally speaking, no foreigners, no companies owning companies, etc. And so it's very typical for closely held businesses. My law firm is taxed as an S-Corp, and the correct answer is we are a Florida corporation set up as a PA, a professional association, that is taxed as an S-Corp. Now, contrast that with my girlfriend's company. She owns a law firm, happens to be an immigration law firm, and her company is set up under the LLC statute. So it's a Florida LLC. It's actually a PLLC because she's a professional. It's a Florida LLC that's taxed as an S-Corp. We're both the same in the eyes of the IRS, but in the eyes of the state of Florida, I'm under the corporate code, she's under the LLC code. All right, so not all companies qualify. So if you have a partner in Argentina who's not a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, you can't have your company taxed as an S-Corp. And if you get it wrong and you do an improper S-Corp election, you could get in trouble and essentially have to pay more taxes and penalties, etc. And now check this out. The LLC has a third option. An LLC can actually elect to be taxed like a regular corporation. We call it a C-Corp. C as in Charlie. So your LLC has these 3 choices. Default pass-through, either sole proprietorship or partnership, S-Corp if you qualify, or C-Corp, which means it's going to file its own tax return in a Form 1120, and it's going to pay its own taxes, which right now is 21%. Now, that might make a lot of sense. I tell people there's 3 circumstances generally where you might want to be taxed as a C-Corp. Option number 1 is you're not planning on taking any money out and you're just going to keep the money growing and reinvesting and buying more widgets or more marketing or whatever it is you're going to keep buying. And actually the 21% might be lower than if we passed it through to your personal taxes and you might be in a higher tax bracket, I don't know, 30%. And so, if I'm an S-Corp or a partnership and I'm at the 30% tax bracket and I want to buy more widgets, I have to buy more widgets after paying 30% taxes. Instead, I could do the 21% tax and then buy more widgets. So that's one reason. Second reason is where we plan on having lots and lots of investors. And in fact, where maybe I'll be taking the majority of my compensation from the business as the CEO or the president or salary. In that case, it makes a lot of sense to be a C-Corp. Frankly, that works for a lot of my clients. And a third situation is where we have a foreign owner. Now, I can do a whole nother video on that. In fact, I will. But with a foreign owner, you can't do the S-Corp, right? So you only have the 2 other options. Option 1, partnership pass-through. There's an automatic 30% withholding on the foreign owner's profits because the IRS wants to make sure they get their money. And then they would have to file a tax return and get a refund. Or option 2, be a corporation. Might be easier for them to just pay the 21%. So thanks, guys. 5 minutes there. Talk to you soon. Bye.